What's the difference between women who have an amazing real life love story and women who have the typical run of the mill story? Overworked, underappreciated, it's okay, but it's not great. Not sure how I'm going to handle this for my whole life type relationship. If you're like me, you've been asking this question everywhere you look, because when you look at the particular women who are well loved versus those who don't seem to be getting their due, there's nothing on the surface that you can tell them apart. It's not their looks, it's not their intelligence, it's not their talents, it's not even how loving or giving or sweet or kind they are, because I'm sure you know plenty of women who are just sweethearts who get treated like doormats at home and who their husbands don't really do much for them and don't really, love them very well. Even if they stay together, and that's fine, it's not really the kind of thing that you would admire. So I want you to think, are there any couples who you're like, you know what, they have a great relationship. I'd love to have a relationship like that. And wondered, what is it, And I think that when I used to ask these questions, I used to look at the men and think, how do you find the man who treats the woman like that? It must be that this man does it and that man doesn't. And it seems tricky because clearly when everybody got married, they thought that this was going to be it. They were feeling well loved. They, expected this to continue. And yet, many people's experience is that all that good stuff kind of goes downhill. And then you get to a stage of like, is this the rest of my life? Maybe this isn't your first rodeo and you don't want to get divorced again, but you're feeling pretty dissatisfied with the status quo. So why? Why you? Do you have a bad picker? Do you not choose men well? Or is it something inherent to you that this is why this happens? And this is the thinking that goes on when we're not conscious. We think, is it his fault? Is it my fault? Is it his fault? Is it my fault? And then both of those beliefs are kind of disempowering, because if it's his fault, nothing is going to change. He's just like that. And you can either put up with it, shut up and put up, or you can go. Or if it's your fault, this is like, oh, I'm like not lovable, or like I'm not good looking enough, or I'm not sweet enough, or I'm not patient enough. Well, then how am I going to change that? Because clearly, I'm just this person and I'm not well loved. I'm not appreciated. So all of that is a red herring. All of that chasing around with our egos and with our insecurities and with our blame on our husband, none of that has ever created a real life love story, which is what I'm here to provide the world. Is how can you have a real life love story? What's the roadmap to the people who are married for 50 years and they say, guys, it just keeps getting better. And you think, are you serious? Like, how is that possible? But it does, because there's a vast difference between a unconscious ordinary marriage and the real life love story. The real life love story starts great and then it has a crash, okay? This is universal to good stories, and love stories are no different. There's going to be a crash. There's going to be a part where something goes horribly wrong. And it might happen slowly, where over time there's slow decay of connection, there's less affection, there's more bickering, there's no chemistry, there's less support, and resentment is being built on your part and the walls are going up on his part. Something to that degree is what you'll see happen. Life will get in the way. There'll be kids, 1 kid, 2 kids, 3 kids. Maybe there's a blended family, annoying in-laws, children with special needs, jobs that are very demanding. All these things start piling up and creating a wall between you, creating distance. And now what? How do you get to that beautiful love affair when it seems like absolutely everything's getting in the way? You're not even sure what to say. Your partner is not interested in couples therapy. Your husband doesn't want to read books on it and go on retreats. He's just like, you know what? We're fine. Or else he's like, let's talk about it later. He's just like not engaged and clearly avoiding this whole topic, where you are going, this is not quite right for me. And I love you and you're a wonderful person, but how can I express to you my needs, and how can I have my needs met when it feels like, we're in this stuck place, ick place, not quite there place, unsustainable place? So I'll tell you how. The difference between the women who get that love story and the ones who don't is one thing and one thing only, and that is self-responsibility. Self-responsibility is the capacity to say, all the outcomes in my life, I'm the common denominator. Without beating yourself up and saying I'm a horrible human, but saying I am the co-creator of my relationships. They're half him, they're half me. Or, if I'm unhappy, if something's not working, what can I do to change that? How can I take responsibility and respond and do something? Or change my attitude, or change my thoughts, or change my energy. I have the capacity to do that. And a lot of the women I work with have that capacity in business, have that capacity in their careers, and as mothers, they're very mature, self-responsible, like I can do something here about this, and I have. And people who are self-responsibility have a lot of inner power. They have personal power. Personal power just means I can do something about it. I'm not trapped, I'm not stuck, I'm not a victim. I can choose whatever I want. But when we get into love relationships, we can lose that sense of personal power. There's a lot of reasons for this. I can go into another video. Comment below if you're like, what is it? Why do we lose it when we're with men? That sense of personal power that we have outside of our romantic relationships. But we lose it. And we start to feel like victims. And we start to feel trapped. And we start to feel stuck with whatever this person is giving us or treating us. And we just don't know what to do to make that shift. But if you bring that powerful woman who you are in the world, who's well respected, maybe you're well paid, maybe you're, adored by your friends, you bring that powerful sense of worth and you bring it into your romantic relationships and you go, there's got to be a way, right? There's got to be a way. I got a good man. I love him. He loves me. There's got to be a way. And this is what entered my brain when I turned my story around, when I entered into the story of the well-loved woman who is self-responsible and create this in her life. I said, there's got to be a way, and there is a way. And I teach women this way. Women whose husbands won't go to therapy, women whose husbands are not engaged in the work, internal work, healing work, whatever you want to call it. A lot of these women have even taken their husbands to therapy and it didn't work. So they're like, you know what? We need a different path. So what does this look like? It looks like practicing being a well-loved woman, having her beliefs, having her understanding, having her skills, having her knowledge. These are the things I teach in my love story program. It's my real love method, which I developed, which I reverse engineered from what I did in my relationship to make it work, to make it on an upward spiral where I can say it's getting better all the time. It just keeps getting better and I can be hopeful of that and I can see the results of it. So if you want to know more and you want to talk to me, comment below, curious, message me personally. There's a lot of ways to contact me. I'm open to you. And I will show you that where there is a will, there is a way. And if you want to become a woman who rests in her relationship, who is supported, who is desired and loved on every level, if you're like, you know what, I want to have that. I'm not going to just settle for less. I want to have that, and I want to have it with the man I'm with already. You need to speak to me because I would love to meet you and I would love to help you.